Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Adam Fitzgerald here, and I wanted to do a video on a response actually to a MMA fighter. I myself am an MMA enthusiast. I have been a fan since 1993. Saw the first UFC. A fan of Pancrase, a fan of Pride FC, and I later on became a rare program collector where I have over 500 programs, including the entire collection of Pride FC and K1 and Dream. I go and buy people from around the world rare programs that you can't get here in the States. I think I'm the largest collector of rare programs in the United States. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's a little hobby of mine that not many people know about. Um, so this video is going to be, something that, um, you know, I, I wish I didn't have to make, but it's imperative because the person I'm addressing this to is, in my opinion, one of the greatest welterweights of all time, in Jake Shields, who I followed his career very closely. So, Jake Shields, I really hope you're watching this. I'm a very small channel and nobody really knows me, but the reason why I want to reach out to you is because you've been posting the past couple of days videos which have been uh, less than accurate. And this latest video that you posted, which I want to share with people, is something that really uh, this has to be addressed right away because it's a problem, and it could be a problem later on down the road for not just you, but for people like me, Jake. And this is a video that you wrote. It's called 9/11 Deception, and it's part five because you wrote a series the past couple of days called Nine More Questions about 9/11. So let's just play this video, and I'll give my thoughts. Behind the gentleman in the well, wait a minute here. Let me stop for a second because I forgot to sync the audio with the video itself. So bear with me. So here we go. All right.
Behind the gentleman in the pink shirt, you're going to see two big bold numbers. It says BB 18. Those are fuse holders. Now look at all three pictures and look at how many boxes of plastic fuse holders that can be used for remote control demolition. And ask yourself, why would art students from Israel and Austria be having thousands of fuse holders? This building was built in the early 1970s. They weren't electricians. They weren't redoing all of the electricity in that building. Now, some of those artists are guaranteed Mossad bomb experts, and that's in the DEA document that you can read. Look behind the gentleman in the pink.
So, all right. The person in the video speaking is Rebecca Roth. And there used to be, not anymore, there used to be a lot of people that used to reference her work because she wrote a book. She wrote a book called Methodical Illusion, and she claimed to be an airline stewardess for over 30 years. She used to say that she had intricate knowledge about 9/11 that most people didn't have. And basically, a lot of people took her word for it. Now, the reason why was because at that time, during the years 2008 to 2015, the people in the truth movement would accept any theory if it opposed this official narrative. Now, I used to ask truthers, what is the official narrative? And I would get various answers, whether it be, planes that were hijacked and crashed into the World Trade Center, that the World Trade Centers came down by improvised devices, but didn't come down by improvised devices. And that would be generally it. And that is a very limited view of what 9/11 is. 9/11 itself on the day really doesn't explain anything. It showed you the means of attack. But did it talk about motive? Did it talk about the intelligence services prior to it? every story has a beginning. And in order to understand what is happening in the present and what might happen in the future, one must go back, like an investigator would. Rebecca Roth basically said, she summed up 9/11 as basically a Mossad operation from neocons in the State Department, and that the planes actually were remote controlled. The people were actually killed on the plane, knocked out by a nerve gas, and then had all the planes remotely flown into the Atlantic Ocean. And that's why we don't see plane debris anywhere on 9/11. And anybody who saw plane debris were actually agents of the state or forced to say that. A whole lot to unpack here, Jake. Would you agree? I mean, these are some really remarkable claims that even people in the intelligence services that are not part of the program wouldn't have. But this airline stewardess has. How is that possible? Now, think of it like this, Jake. All right? I'm not making fun of you. I'm not making fun of the followers who follow your channel. But I want you to just think for 1 second. You are on the 83rd floor of the North Tower. You were there on a covert mission that's going to take months to accomplish, to finish. You are wiring a building for demolition, knowing full well that when this mission is accomplished, you're going to change the world forever in almost every paradigm. And you basically are there under the orders of a nefarious part of the government or the military, or maybe a mixture of both. For certain, no one really knows about what you're doing. And you're going to basically allow for an associate of yours, mind you, to take pictures of you in the commission of a crime where you could basically get arrested and probably executed if they have death penalty laws in your country. Is that how you perceive this to be? I mean, I used to have a saying, Jake, that I always wished 9/11 was as simple as truthers made it out to be, because I would actually have long hair. I wouldn't have as many gray whiskers. I basically probably, had high blood pressure and stay up long nights for 16 years reading tens of thousands of documents. And I'm not lying. I have read, the 13,863 page report of the Operation Encore, the 812 pages unredacted of the Joint House Inquiry, besides the final 28 pages, which nobody has seen unredacted. The 790 pages of the 9/11 Commission Report, and the tens of thousands of pages of the memorandum for records from the Department of Justice. And if you don't think I'm actually serious, all you have to do is Google Adam Fitzgerald 9/11, and I have 7,900 entries on my WordPress. I have 100 episodes of a podcast called The Dark and Doubt, where I interview former State Department officials, people from the CIA, people from the FBI, and question them about 9/11. I have over 3,300 videos uploaded to my YouTube, which I basically lost because I was hacked. And now I'm uploading a new channel where I'm going to have doubled videos. I'm actually going to make it a bigger channel. So yes, I'm not somebody off the street trying to criticize you. This is something that I take very seriously. So yes, just imagine you're in the commission of a crime. You're going to let your picture be taken. Okay, second thing, Jake, those people are not even Jewish. They're Austrian, and they basically uptook a project which was known to the World Trade Center, the Port Authority, because that's who owns the buildings. Larry Silverstein Properties leased the buildings, but they had to get permission from not just Larry Silverstein Properties, but they also had permission from the Port Authority, and they were allowed to basically like almost live there for a couple of months, almost a year. And you know what? Artists are basically strange. They think this is art. They stand outside the World Trade Center, have their pictures taken and stuff. And there was nothing. There was literally nothing suspicious about these people. And Rebecca Roth thinks that these are the art students. Now, I saw she referenced a little bit the Gerald Shea Memorandum. And what I think is happening here, Jake, is that you have a person who is basically trying to malign and defame reputable researchers to make it out to be that they're anti-Semitic and crazy as she portrays herself to be. Christopher Boland does this very well, and I just did a video about him last night. He says that Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the alleged mastermind of 9/11 in Guantanamo Bay, is not really Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, but a double. Now, just imagine some guy is going to agree to play a part of a terrorist mastermind who is facing the death penalty. I mean, you got to hear some of these theories by some of these people. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, is this guy basically for the official narrative, whatever that is, right? Is this guy basically going to, regurgitate government narratives relating to 9/11? I am literally one of a few people, and I would just recommend just a few, and I'll name them in a bit, who actually condemns and charges with actual conspiracies the intelligence community, foreign and domestic, and of course, the US government. I am a harsh critic of the CIA. And yes, there are major conspiracies, anomalies relating to the September 11 attacks. And I have been saying this for years. But these conspiracies are blanketed by the conspiracies offered by these various crackpots like Rebecca Roth. By the way, a little bit about Rebecca Roth. That's not her real name. And she goes by many names. She actually wears a wig. And she claims that, oh, I don't want people to know who I am because I could be hounded and threatened by the airline industry and the intelligence services. Well, no. She went by many names over the years. Corey Ann Ashley, Monica Gaynor, Lisa Weld, and now Rebecca Roth. On YouTube, she used to have these like small commercials selling Herbalife oils and beauty products. And now she changed her name to Rebecca Roth, and she claims she's an airline stewardess. And there's absolutely zero record under any of the names I posted that she worked for any airline industry. Nobody knows who she is. She's never worked for any airline industry, ever. Okay. And most of the stuff she claims in Methodical Illusion is demonstrably false. It's almost ludicrous. She's less than reputable. And you ever wonder why she's not even active anymore? And I always say that, when it comes to fringe conspiracy theorists, people who propose theories that are irrational, I call them fringe conspiracy theorists, is that they have a shelf life of 5 years. For 5 years, you'll hear their name. It's prominent all over the internet. Truthers, especially in the truth community. Oh, Rebecca Roth. Yeah, I know her. She's a airline stewardess. You got to listen to her. And as you notice, her name was really big about, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Now, no one brings her up. And the reason why is simple, Jake, is that these people often repeat themselves. And they repeat themselves and they lose interest of their followers. And because they don't learn anything new, in other words, when material later on over time gets declassified, these people who think that any information that contradicts their narratives is the government narrative. So they won't read it. And they don't want you to read it. When the reality is that as more stuff becomes declassified, it's like a puzzle piece. All of a sudden, these documents are showing that, yes, the intelligence services, domestic and foreign, were involved in monitoring the 9/11 hijackers. Let me get to a more salient point here. All right. I want to bring this up to you because she brought this up in her video. And it's the Gerald Shea memorandum. And what she's hoping to do is use this document to show to be brought up in the crackpot circles, and the public will basically say, and they'll be right to say it, oh, this guy's an anti-Jew, he's an anti-Semitic guy, I'm not going to read anything from him. That's the ultimate goal of Rebecca Roth, so that people won't read the document. And I hope I'm not seen as a crackpot because I don't make declarations without providing evidence for them. I live by a code, and that code is I will never post anything that hasn't been scrutinized under the scientific method. I'm what they call a data compiler or a data analyst in regards to 9/11. I'm not smarter than anyone or you, Jake Shields. I'm somebody who basically lives and dies on the creed that I want my followers and anyone in general who watches my material to come away with learning something new and something that is demonstrable, tangible, that, in other words, they could use in a court of law to prosecute, right? So, all right, I don't want to really make this a very long video. I usually tend to go on. So this is the document called the Gerald Shea Memorandum. The reason why it's called the Gerald Shea Memorandum is simple. It's the retired lawyer, corporate lawyer from San Obispo, California, named Gerald Shea. And what he did, and thank God for this man, what he did was he took an earlier report by the Drug Enforcement Agency, which warned through its securities division, it warned of these number of young Israelis that would actually go around the United States and sell like this cheap art in groups of 3 or 4 people. And it usually is one woman between the ages of 19 to 25, and there's 3 young guys, anywhere between the ages of 18 to 24 or 25, right? No older than 24, 25. And what this does is that, Israeli women are hot. They're fucking hot, right? I mean, you can't say no. They're beautiful. Some of the most beautiful women in the world. And what they do is they go to the homes of people from, say, the FBI, the Drug Enforcement Agency, Southwest Laboratories, people from the Securities Division of the FBI, of the Secret Service. And, they would sell this cheap art. And a lot of these kids that are named in this memorandum really don't know what's going on. In other words, you have some group in Texas, for example, that are selling art to the DA. You have another group in Florida that is selling art to the FBI. You have another group over here in Oklahoma, another group in New Jersey, in New York, in California, in San Diego, in Los Angeles, in Minneapolis, in Oklahoma City, in Falls Church, Virginia, right? Miami, Florida. There's a huge nexus here. And every single body that was involved in this operation were involved in employment of 2 areas: a moving companies that was small, that pay under the table. I used to work for one of these companies in Las Vegas, and art students, right? Well, Rebecca Roth didn't really connect the people in the World Trade Center to this document. First of all, the people in the World Trade Center aren't even Jewish. Like I said before, they're an art company called Gelatin B. No relation to this document. And there were only 6 people involved in that art exhibition. 6, the real Israeli art student ring is considered the largest foreign intelligence operation ever known inside the United States that we know of. And they consisted of over 200 people. That's a big discrepancy when you say, Jake, between 6 and 200. Now, why would Rebecca Roth lie about that? And she is lying, knowingly lying, because this document predates Rebecca Roth. It's been around for years. And she references the Gerald Schaefer, so she can't say she doesn't. She doesn't know about it. So she's knowingly lying. Why doesn't she mention that, oh, there are groups all around the Southwest United States and Northeast? Is because I think, and take this with a grain of salt, that she's intentionally misleading people in the hopes of those same people in the truth movement repeat these claims and blame Israel for 9/11 in a rush to judgment so that the public can dismiss these people and not know about this document and don't read it and realize that the operation is much bigger, involved a whole lot of people, and was covered up by the FBI, Department of Justice, and the Department of State. This memorandum is a compilation of arrest records in every single city by every single art student in the United States, along with the moving front companies, from the DEA report to the arrest records, all in one document. And it's amazing to me that the 9/11 Truth Movement knows nothing about this. And the reason why is simple. Because people like Christopher Bolin and Rebecca Roth and Jason Burmis and Loose Change and Pilots for 9/11 Truth and Judy Wood and Barbara Honegger and Richard Gage and all these people that claim to be self-professed experts in 9/11 are some of the most uneducated, unenlightened, uninformed advocates for their own pockets or for their own fame. And this is the reason why you don't hear of these people anymore, because their view of 9/11 is limited. I personally challenged Christopher Bolin to a debate. He refused. I went to his wife. She refused on his behalf. I challenged Barbara Honegger. I challenged Rebecca Roth. I challenged Richard Gage numerous times. I challenged Jason Burmis. Over time, Ryan Dawson, who I'm sure you heard of, has challenged these people as well. Now, it's not that I wanted to get something out of it. In a debate, most people think there's a winner and a loser. Well, there is no loser in the debate, Jake. You have two people. One brings a set of information which are factual. Another brings his beliefs. In the end, when it's up to the audience, who came away as the person who presented his side the best would be the person with the facts. However, the person with the beliefs, if he's honest, if he's truthful to himself, replaced his beliefs with facts that he didn't have previously. Well, guess what? That person won, because now he could get to spread awareness and disinformation to others. And the other person, well, he won too, because now he educated somebody else. And then all of a sudden, this person who learned of the facts, and then this person who had possession of the facts, now can reach others. Instead of one person trying to reach two people, now you have two people trying to reach four people, and divide that up and multiply it. That's how you build a movement. And that's why the 9/11 Truth Movement failed, Jake, is because you had so many people with competing theories, and they allowed anybody to become part of the truth movement if it opposed the official narrative, no matter how ridiculous the theory was. And it destroyed the movement from within. And what it did was the public doesn't even treat the truth movement serious anymore. They laugh at them. I'll give you an example. I live in New York. I went to Ground Zero last year. There was a group of 30 people right across the street from, I forgot the name of the street. There's a church, and 2 blocks down is the One World Trade Center, new building. And they're on the corner like a bunch of cheerleaders with signs. 9/11's an inside job. Okay, catchy, right? Across the street was a bunch of cops. Secret Service was there. And instead of looking at them with a solemn face, they're actually laughing at them. Because behind them are signs that said the hijackers are still alive, that there was no plane crash in Pentagon and Shanksville, that the news media all together constructed a narrative to lie on behalf of the state. And when you have lost the public, you have lost the plot, you've lost the message, no matter how hard you scream in that bullhorn. Nobody respects you. Nobody trusts you. Because trust is built on what? On faith that this person has information and has the facts and is known to just basically not be persuaded by ideology in hopes of rushing judgment on somebody. And that's what I try not to do. And the reason why nobody really knows who I am is because, I don't care about being famous. I care about being right. And look, Jake Shields, I'm 54. I have had 2 hip surgeries. I used to train at Vanderlei Silva School when I lived in Las Vegas under, Vitor Viana and Mike Smith. Vanderlei Silva, I met these people. I know these people back in 2006, a long time ago. I go to the gym. I still do, kickboxing and stuff and trying to get back in shape. I love MMA. I love MMA. I'm a traditionalist. I still watch the ADCC fights, grappling. I can watch, I got 700 DVDs, 512 programs, 1,000 magazines. And, I love it. I'm a traditionalist, but 9/11 is something I also have a great passion for. And, I want to be right because my goal, Jake, is to build a new movement that actually is respected and can be trusted to present the facts. And isn't it important? It's a duty for you. And the reason why I'm reaching out to you is not because you're a celebrity, and you are, is because you have a huge platform. You have 600,000 people that follow you. And most of those people just take your word as gospel. And when you post videos like this, it hurts me. It really hurts me personally because I'm like, fuck, man. No, not Rebecca Wood. Like today, I was cooking breakfast and I got up very late because I wanted to rest and stuff. And, I saw that and I'm like, it's like, I'm not mad at you, right? Because, I don't know where you got it from. And you're like, you want to, if you saw something new and you're like, oh, I never heard this before. And, if you don't do your due diligence and research, because it takes time and, you wanted to post it and show people. Yeah, that's understandable. I'm not criticizing you for that, but every single body has a duty, especially when they're a huge platform, to make sure that every single letter to every single word that you post online is accurate. Because what do you want to do, Jake? You want to bring attention, right? That's what you want to do. But when you post something like this, you know what it does? Not only does it hurt your audience by providing misinformation, that gets repeated. And if you have 600,000 followers, and if say 30,000 of those people repost that, or even 10,000, I'll lower 10,000, it helps keep that lie alive. And then those people repost it, and it's like, a repetitious lie that keeps going and still stays alive. Even though this theory by Rebecca Roth's been debunked 10 years ago, it's still relevant today. It's not because of you. It's because, people like you just, reposted it without fact checking it. There are only a few people I would recommend. Like I said, I'm not an expert. I'm not an authority on anything. I took a small piece of human history, which happened to be 9/11, and analyzed it. Yes, I've interviewed, the highest CIA ranking official in history to ever come out and speak about 9/11. I got lucky. And all I did was ask. That's it. I didn't do anything special. I'm not good looking, right? So I'm not persuading people with my good looks and charm. And I've interviewed whistleblowers, actual whistleblowers that got in trouble from their own agencies. People like Colleen Rowley and Mark Rossini and Ken Williams, who tried to do the right thing. But there are only a few people I would recommend. I just said one of them, Ryan Dawson, but there are others like Sean Russell and Darren Harvey. They're new, and they made a podcast called Beyond Ground Zero. And they undertook they have numerous projects, and these are young guys that are, really on the rise. And I don't really recommend many people. And when I recommend people, these are people that I 100% trust, because I've seen them over the years post material that are not inflammatory or inaccurate. For most part, these people have posted just primary source material, and if they do speculate, they basically use it carefully. Others like DJ Thermal Detonator, who I consider to be the best researcher currently, and other new guys like Ben and Eric from Project for New American Century, Jake, I would recommend, them. And there's a new guy, Jonathan Bellasort, who, all he does, he's brand new, but he reads documents. Like, he does what I do. I read documents because people don't read anymore. And the truth movement told you not to read these things. So in other words, I'm doing the reading for you, and I'm going chapter by chapter, right? And filling the blanks in between. And there's others, like they're not active anymore. Paul Thompson, who I consider the greatest 9/11 researcher. And that's where I come from. I learned from him. He wrote a book called The Terror Timeline. Kevin Fenton, Ray Noloshilsky, and John Duffy, John Gold, Robbie Martin, Abby Martin. Just to name a few. And these are, people like, Anthony Summers. Okay. These people I would recommend. And it's a shame, the real, when I'll end it here, Jake, is that the hidden crime of 9/11 is not how 9/11 was successful. It's that what came after 9/11. And I can easily sit here, Jake, and name 100 people, no lie, 100 people that spread disinformation and call themselves truthers. But I could probably only recommend maybe 8 people that are consistently posting material that, is documented evidence. They're reputable. That's the hidden crime of 9/11. And I hope you get to see this video. I really do. And I followed you on Twitter in the hopes of maybe you reached out to me. If not, try to get in touch. If you want to talk on a big platform, if that's what you're worried about, Ryan Dawson, right? But if you want to reach out to me, I'm more than accessible. One of the goals I had in mind was that I had two goals when I first started my study into 9/11 16 years ago. And that was I was going to only report information, facts, evidence, right? Can't go to court with belief. I believe George Bush did 9/11. What's the evidence to show for it? Well, here's a 3-hour video. That's not evidence, right? And two, that I would be accessible to anyone. Because when I first started back in 2006, there weren't many people, and the internet was just getting started, really become popular. I didn't have a channel. I didn't want a channel until I knew what I was talking about. And even then, I'm a half a retard, and I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't consider myself much of a smart of anything. It's only by the grace of God I can wipe myself, right? But I wanted to be accessible to people, because all of a sudden, you're if you're reading something, you're engrossed in something, and you're like, oh shit, I wish, oh, you come across a point, and you're like, eureka, I found it, and you want to tell somebody, or you want to know more about it, and you look on Facebook Messenger, you look on Twitch or whatever, and you're like, there's nobody around, and you're like, fuck, and you forget about it. I want to be that person to basically be there at 3 in the morning and try to answer a question or try to listen to what you have to say. And if it's helpful advice, I'll give it. And that's what I want. Also, that's one of the goals I had. And what motivates me to do this is not through a Patreon account. I don't get money. I don't think I deserve anything. Plus, I won't take anything because all I'm doing is posting public primary source material. That's it. I still use Movie Maker. But there's a phone call. And it's Kevin Cosgrove, who worked at, I think, Marsh & McLennan on the 108th floor. I could be wrong about the company. But anyway, I'm a very stoic person emotionally. I don't get moved by anything. But this one tugs at your humanity. And I won't play it here, but if you look up Kevin Cosgrove phone call. And the reason why it stands out for me is because he's calling the operator. He says, I'm not ready to die. I just had a grandchild, and he's a young man. I think he was like 42, 38, somewhere around that age. He's a young guy. And, he feels helpless. That's a fucking hopeless feeling. That high up there. And you can see acrid black smoke coming through the fucking walls. And the floors are getting hotter because the fire is rising. And he's with an associate of his. I forgot the guy's name, Mark Mentz or something like that. And he's looking out the window, which is shattered. And, he could see police helicopters. They can't get nearby. He could see the fire is getting up there. And he's talking to the operator. And the next thing you hear, and this is the only phone call, the only audio in existence that we know of, where you can actually hear the building falling on it. And what it sounds like a freight train 10 feet in front of you. I mean, it is fucking loud. But it wasn't the sound of the building falling on him that made it memorable, that seared into my heart and mind. It's the sound that he made. You hear these screams in the movies and, the shrill general shrieking, right, of horror films, but nothing compares to what he uttered. and you hear him screaming, "Oh God, no." But it's the way he said it. And then a half a second later, the line is dead. And you would think that this audio is long, and that part is 2 seconds, 1.5 seconds. And I listen to that phone call every day, once a day, to remind me to never lose sight of what I'm trying to accomplish or hope to accomplish, which is to one day hold people accountable for not sharing intelligence about the hijackers that were inside the United States living here, whether it's Israel, Saudi Arabia, the NSA, and CIA. And the conspiracies that I've talked about are the ones that provided logistical and financial support to the hijackers. This information was never shared to the FBI. This information was never shared to the State Department. The new information that's coming out, like Canestraro document, Operation Encore, they talk about this. Hey, these guys were here. The intelligence services were here. And if the NSA and CIA knew, and they're providing support to these hijackers, which was brought up in the 9/11 Commission, but never fully investigated. Just imagine what Israel and Saudi Arabia were doing. They knew these people. They were close to these people. Now, I'm not going to go and say Israel did 9/11 because the Israeli government, which is one of the most evil entities on the face of the earth, that doesn't mean that they did 9/11. I'm not willing to go there. There's no evidence to suggest this. Foreknowledge, sure. But to orchestrate and plan it, come on, guy, right? Don't let your prejudices get in the way of the fucking facts. Stick with the facts, because that's how you build a movement. And this is the reason why the 9/11 Truth Movement failed, is because for 23 years, the best that they could do was collect donations and make a film about a fictional courtroom based on fictional evidence. That's what Richard Gage is doing. Instead of taking information, evidence, going to court in the Southern District of New York and providing your case. Creedler and Creedler is doing it. Motley Rice is doing it. Richard Gage isn't doing it. Neither is Rebecca Roth or Christopher Bolin or Loose Change or any of these frauds. None of them are in the courts where it matters. Now, you may say, well, the courts are not going to help us. Well, it's a pipe dream. Well, you don't know if you fucking tried. By the way, the law firms like Creedler, Motley Rice, well, they're actually trying to sue the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And at least they're in the hearing process. So Judge George Daniels, in charge of the case, he's actually hearing them. And he makes his decision next month. It's not about whether you accomplished the goal or not. It's the effort that matters. And these so-called truthers are not giving any effort whatsoever. Instead of being a cheerleader on the corner saying 9/11 is an inside job. Whoopee-doo. What good is the message if the message is diluted with fringe and false conspiracies? Who does it hurt? The people portraying the message, and to people like us who are not crackpots, who are trying to provide information in the hopes of having a bigger audience, an educated audience, Jake, to bring attention to the real conspiracies involving 9/11 in the hopes of doing what? Bringing attention to the media and putting pressure on the state to conduct a new investigation on the new information that we got, declassified material that shows that the intelligence services of Israel, Saudi Arabia, the NSA, the CIA were providing support to the hijackers inside the United States. And if you don't have hijackers and you don't have hijacked planes, guess what? All the conspiracies involved don't exist. Because who are the Israelis following? Who is the Saudis following? Who are the CIA following? Who is the NSA following? The hijackers. If there's no hijackers, who are they monitoring? And how can we connect them to a crime? We can't. So I hope that one day we get enough people on our side. and I still have faith. Believe it or not, me, the most depressing person involved with 9/11, I got to be optimistic, or else why go on, right? Why go on? Because I do believe we can hold people accountable. I'm naive to believe that, or else why continue? Kill yourself. If you don't think that it's worth the effort and that you're not going to bring anybody to justice for crimes, either join them or just kill yourself, right? What's the sense of the future? It's fucked anyway. No, I'm going to give the effort. I'm going to continue, even if it's just by myself. And I know I'm not alone. I got others. But we need you, Jake. You would be a huge voice. You got the people already on your side. Now you need the information. Well, look, Jake, I know I rambled on long enough. I really hope you watch this video. God, I hope so. And now that I follow you, you can inbox me. You can ask me whatever at any time, any day. If it's not me, go to Ryan Dawson, go to DJ Thurman Detonator, go to Sean Russell, go to Darren Harvey. We're out there. Okay. We're out there and we're willing to help. And, maybe one day we can achieve our goal of providing enough information to get enough people to be behind us. And that's how you build a real movement, a movement of people that are enlightened with information, because information is proaction and action provides results.